detect us?
Yes, because we are recording episode 5 of Inside the Toy Box right now.
Ooh.
And what you're hearing are some brand new voices. Please introduce yourselves. We'll start over here, as if everybody can see.
Oh, over here on the other side. Hi, I'm John. I'm a programmer.
Is that it?
Well, I could say code monkey or code ninja or guy who does stuff. But,
Okay.
you know,
I'm
whatever.
Tyson. My name's Tyson. I'm a technical artist here at Toy Studio. And I like Long Walks on the Beach and romantic movies, candlelight.
Fabulous. You know, we get so many listeners that might actually happen. No.
See, now you're just making me look bad, Tyson.
Okay, you might have noticed last week we didn't have a show. That's because it was Thanksgiving and we stuffed ourselves full of turkey. I could probably float a small car with as much stuffing as I ate. Do you guys have Thanksgiving traditions at all?
I really like cranberry ring mold, which is not a common dish.
Like the stuff that comes in the
cranberry sauce, but it's not in a can. My grandmother actually hand grinds the jelly out of the cranberries and then makes a ring-shaped mold out of it. It's the same flavor as what you get out of the can, basically, in the end, except it's homemade.
That's like Thanksgiving Olympics quality worthy stuff.
That sounds pretty delicious.
I think I might even like that, just because of how long it would take someone to do that. Good Lord.
I had 2 Friendsgivings this year, so it was an intense marathon of eating. But some of my new roommates' friends, just this last year, are all foodies, so they prepare some seriously good. I didn't have to cook. I just brought beer, and that worked out well.
So, were they like turducken foodies or like
not so
super gourmet?
Not so much like the man challenge type foodie, where it's like I'm going to put every animal from the ark inside another animal. And no, it was people who made roasted squash with pancetta. Somebody made homemade cranberry sauce or something. The turkey was deep fried and perfect. Just good stuff. Big fan.
Sweet. All right, so I guess that brings us up to now, where today, when we're recording this, we've launched like 1 million games on the Nook, as well as some other app stores. One of those, let's just name them off. Mahjong Christmas, Neon Zone, if I'm getting that. Yep, Neon Zone. Carcassonne, which we'll be talking about a little later.
Woo-hoo!
Arctic Dream. Tyson, you were working on that one, I know.
That's not a game. It's
a live wallpaper, but it's an app. It's an app.
It is an app. It is available.
And it's hypnotic, too. Because I remember when you were having me test it out on my phone. It was hypnotic. It was hypnotic.
Well, it also contains subliminal messages. What else we got?
What was the other one? Oh shoot, I lost track.
We had a bunch of stuff come out.
Yeah,
The Neon Box.
Neon Zone, Carcassonne, Mahjong Christmas. I guess I could pull it up, right? Yeah, well, let's do that right now.
Maybe we just guess for a while.
Shoot.
Did we come out with Angry Birds this week?
I'm having a browser race right now. So far, Chrome's winning.
Angry Birds, Battlefield 3.
Oh, yeah.
And Skyrim was our last major release.
How did I not know that was going on?
No, we also put Modern Warfare 3 on the Nook.
These are all lies. You guys are never coming on this podcast again. Liars. Every last one of you.
Mission success.
You signed up for it. Mahjong Christmas. We're going over these for the 5th time. Arctic Dream live wallpaper. Hangman TV. That's the one I'm forgetting.
What is Hangman TV? I haven't played that yet.
Do you like Hangman?
Yes.
Do you like TV shows?
Yes.
You'll love Hangman TV.
Oh man.
Yeah, no.
Well, I'm sold.
So here's the whole thought behind it is that our first game on the Nook was Hangman, right?
Right.
And we've always kind of wanted to come revisit Hangman a little bit, but we've always wanted to do like a theme. So kind of TV was the theme we settled on because it's there's a lot of pop culture buffs out there that TV's like a big part of life. So TV it is, and it's all celebrity shows, TV stuff. Hangman TV.
Very cool.
It's a lot of fun if you enjoy the original.
Yeah, so with all these games, it kind of got me thinking, we play a lot of board games here. So let's just go through some of our favorite board games, because I think we draw a lot of inspiration from those. So we'll start with Tyson. You named some of your favorite board games. You actually went to a board game sort of ish convention at Gen Con.
Oh yeah. Gen Con. You could argue that it's a mixed fare. That was quite an experience because traditionally I'm more of a video game guy, and that is definitely more of the D20 dice and dressing up crowd. But I had a good time. The most surprising actually was it was one of our we've organized a couple of these board game nights where we have other studios come by and play some board games with us, and that really was the introduction to there are games like this that aren't besides Monopoly and Risk.
Shout out to Synapse.
Yeah, Synapse. I would say definitely shout out to Synapse for my I think still favorite board game of the moment, which is Acquire. A friend of ours over there introduced us to it, and it's an old game. It's what, 50s or something?
I have no idea. Because I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Before I got here, I was always strictly digital video games.
And board games was like kid stuff, right?
Well, it was just kind of boring stuff. I hated the setup. I hated the cleanup.
I have to say though, man, there are some. Acquire is mine because it is dirt simple. You look at it and it looks so plain. It's just a board, a grid. There's some money and man, the depth of play you can get out of that thing. It's the psychology of the other players. And I'm not talking about role playing here. I'm just saying that the strategies and like the way the game progresses as a social tool is just fantastic. So I had a great time playing that. But yeah, we've been introduced to a few thanks to our buddies at Synapse.
Yeah, I've yet to play that, but I've been meaning to.
Highly recommend.
We're gonna have a board game night soon. I don't remember exactly when. I'm not remembering a lot of things right now.
Well,
but yeah,
we're gonna have to do Medici too because it's in the same vein.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if it's in the same
vein,
vein,
we're gonna bring that up, John.
I was gonna say it's a similar concept of where you're basically trading and storing supplies, and well, you don't really trade them, but the whole point is to acquire as much stuff as possible with some risk involved.
Wait. Well, how many board games are in here?
And the goal is to make a monopoly on a certain type of resource.
Yeah,
it's a very delicate operation.
So is Acquire are you talking Medici or are you talking
Medici?
Acquire? Okay. And
but I'm also just throwing in board game names.
Okay,
see if you can count the number of board game names I had in the last 3 sentences.
Really don't.
No.
Don't.
So did Evan show you that as well?
Yes.
Evan, that's right. We played it together.
We played it together.
Evan introduced us to
a board game night.
It's pretty small.
That's right. We were all there. I was there too.
Actually, it wasn't even a board game night. That was like a Thursday afternoon, and we were just a little checked out. Remember, he was going to show us at lunch, and we ended up playing for like an hour and a half.
That's right.
But it's good stuff. As I recall, you got your ass kicked that time.
When I played it the second time, the same thing happened. Hilarious, I know.
Were you last the second game as well? I thought there was a wild reversal and you got first or something.
No, what happened is
last, but I don't
Benedict
first.
Benedict was like dead last, and he just he's like, oh, I get this game now, and then he beat us all, I think.
Do you hate that when somebody's good enough at something that you can't quite tell how, but they can call their shots?
Yeah, right. They like
say, that's cute. That's a good move. 20 moves, I will win the game. Like, shut up. You can't do that. I knew a guy who used to be able to do that with hearts.
He was just being
at the
jerk.
beginning of a deal. He had been playing hearts since he was a little kid, and he would look at you and just go, "You're going to get the queen," and then deal out the game. And sure enough, in case you don't know, Queen of Spades, 13 points. It's the death blow in a game of hearts. You don't want to get that, and he could just pick you and be like, "You're going to get it."
So
like, shut up, man. No. Yeah.
So that guy was either a jerk or a demon spawn,
or a card shark.
Or I was going to say card shark.
Yeah.
Secret option C. Secret option C.
But what about you? Yeah, have you said your favorite board game yet?
No, I haven't. So yours is Acquire, Tyson. Mm-hmm. John, you like Medici?
Yes, but my favorite board game of all time is probably Monopoly. Which is no. I'm not.
That
I'm
good. That is
no,
good.
legitimately.
That's a horrible game.
No, see, it's my favorite game, but the problem is no one plays it with me.
No, Monopoly is a horrible game.
Well, nobody
it's
plays
not
it.
a horrible game, but everyone's like, no, you can't play it the right way. No, I like to play the 48-hour game version.
Have you ever played it where it wasn't just a slow, like in slow motion, watching one player bleed to death over the other player? Because that's every game of Monopoly I've ever played.
No, most of the ones I've played are like that. But see, that's the kind of game I like. That's how I like to play Monopoly, because it's such a great experience to see how long you can go, and how much you can acquire, and how much you can make the other players
I gotta say,
suffer.
I don't say this a lot, but it's one time when I think Dane Cook actually said something I completely agree with, which is that he said that game is useless because every game ends the same way. It's 4 a.m. and you're cursing your grandma out because you think she's a cheating whore and she's got hotels all the way down the strip. I don't like that kind of. I love the mix it up, the evolution, things like that each year to acquire.
It's definitely not a game you can play all the time. That's to be sure. And yes, I've burned about every single bridge with every friend that's ever played it with
Why
me.
would you play that game?
But,
That's a terrible.
Because I enjoy the game. I don't know how to say. I mean, it's not like I've won every single game, but even the ones where they're ahead, they'll just be like, "Screw it, I don't want to play this anymore. This is so boring." And I'm like, "No."
That's like playing Australia in every game of Risk ever, always being Australia.
Yeah, but see, I also like Risk because it's got that slow.
No, I like Risk too, but sometimes the standing rule on the board is that nobody gets to start there.
Oh.
The cool thing about those games is that there's always a tipping point. There's
Yeah.
like one tipping point. It's one turn where like all the cards just fall on you if you're behind, if you're not plotting, if you're not planning. It's just like every time this happens to be a Monopoly. So I'm so glad you said this, John, because I'll never play Monopoly with you.
Oh.
No, I
maybe
won't.
Maybe that's the problem with Monopoly, though, is that I like the games with tipping points. I hate the games with the tipping point is then a slow decline.
It's not a slow decline for me in Monopoly though, because once I get to a point where like I'm in Hawk with all
You must
my
be playing self-destructively. Do you mortgage all your shit to?
yeah,
No,
well,
no,
see,
no.
that's what I figure
Yeah.
because like if I figure if I don't play recklessly, there'll be if I keep playing like a little bit at a time so conservatively, I don't think I'm going to win. So there's just a point where like, oh crap, I'm down. All right, I'm going crazy, so I'll do all this stuff. And I'll end up going out in a blaze of glory. It's a lot of fun for me, and I'm sure it's a lot of fun for the people who win against me too. Because they're like, what is this guy doing?
I have that problem with poker. If I can become bored, then I no longer. I don't have the long game in sight of like keeping a chip count or something like that. Or in the case of Monopoly, evening out my revenue stream. No, if I'm bored, I start making the crazy bets, and you become you're like wild card, and yeah, I know what you mean. Where it is at least I think it keeps things interesting when you get bored and you're like, I'll tell you what, I'll mortgage all my things, but I want a double hotel on all the railroads. I give you all my property, just the railroads. And then just for the rest of the game, you're irrelevant until somebody finally lands. You're like, you're mine now. Yeah.
Well, being that agent of chaos, I think, is a lot of fun. Because it keeps people guessing and like, what do they have planned? And even if you play that way all the time, which I do, people still can't figure it out.
Right, so that reminds me of something. This is an interesting thing. I know it's not exactly a board game, but you guys have been following the Secret World, that MMO
Yes.
thing that's coming out? I'm really interested about that. You haven't heard about that?
I know.
They had
There's so many MMOs that come out.
Well, they're
every
also
day.
it's what is it called? Not Famicom. It's I can't remember. Funcom.
Funcom.
The developer.
Yeah.
So
I
they're
know
working on
what
this
you're
MMO, and all I've seen is a few takes because they had like one gameplay trailer, and 2 years ago they had a couple pre-computed, pre-rendered scenes. But the whole premise is that instead of having just a 2-faction thing, a horde and allies or something like World of Warcraft, it's like three.
The Templars, the Illuminati, and the Dragons.
Yeah, so you've got two that one of them is kind of the straight up the allies sort of good but lawful good sort of alignment, and then you have some kind of in the middle, and then the Dragons or whatever the third one is.
Yeah.
It's straight. The whole idea is that you never you are agents of chaos. Like your whole purpose is to create havoc and instability in the game, but never really pick one side or the other. And I thought that was so interesting. I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off, but it seems like that perfectly suits because you could get 3 very different types of player to become addicted to the same game, and nobody gets to, if you can actually balance it, criticize the others of playing it wrong, or you're not playing it the way it's supposed to be. Because no, that's my job. I'm the guy who goes all wild card on you and like messes up your plans, and you're the one who follows plans.
See, I think in MMOs that's hard to do. We're so far off track now, but I love this because people have to pick a side, and they're going to pick whatever sounds the most fun.
Well, okay, bringing it back to the board game thing,
Yes.
I love the games where there's the unspoken stuff. The one thing that I think Monopoly has going for it, although it's never pushed hard enough, I think the problem with Monopoly is that there's no commitments where you get stuck. But the idea that you can make these verbal arrangements with people, and a lot of the game occurs off of the game board, is one of the things I think that hasn't translated very well to video games, and it's a shame. Because along with the psychology, the stuff like, listen, why don't we team up for now? I know we're all competing in an even 3-player match, but why don't we team up and destroy John, and then, we'll figure it out later. And it always ends in a battle royale of John's bitter, backstabbing murder, and then we turn on each other the second he's been destroyed. Every risk game, and that's an interesting factor. So I don't.
You guys need to play the board game then. I'm the Boss. Christian has it.
What is it?
He said it's really good.
It is exactly what you're talking about. It is.
Or
that is the whole game, though.
Munchkin's all about backstabbing as well. And also, half the game is just saying things to other people and how you interact outside the game.
Yeah, so I'm the Boss. What it is you're given, simplify it, you're given bids. So you're supposed to go in on deals. You're these mega tycoons. That's the whole backstory of the game. And so what you have to do is you have to make bids to make money. And you're like, well, I'll put $1 million down on this deal worth $20 million. Well, you need to have certain cards and all this kind of stuff, and that's where these fragile alliances come in and be like, hey, if you go in this deal with me, Tyson, I will give you 20% of my earnings. Or you could play a special card and be like, no, I'm the boss now. I'm the one taking over this deal. And then the whole table gets flipped. Not literally.
Yeah.
But in the closest sense without the table actually flipping.
So people exchange cards or...
No, just people flip out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So did we have a chance to play Red Dragon Inn?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
is that the one with the drinking?
The drinking thing. Yeah.
That is very good.
I think that's another one that, depending on who you play, it's such a different game. We played it so cordially. We were just...
Good tomorrow, sir.
Oh no, because it's to give backstory. It's this game. The idea is you're all these kind of different characters at a tavern, and you have some gold, and you have a level of sobriety and a level of kind of health. And the object of the game is each of you have a special deck full of cards that do things or participate in actions. And the idea is you're supposed to drive up the alcohol content, drive down the health, or basically bankrupt the other players. And the last person standing wins. And each of the decks that you pick for these characters is slightly different. There's certain advantages, strengths, and weaknesses to each. But the most interesting thing is how many of the cards it's entirely left up to you who you target. And when we played, it was casual. There was a little bit of ribbing, but generally it was kind of whoever's standing out in front gets knocked down a peg. When I played it at Gen Con with Jess and her friends. They would just pick a guy and just annihilate him. He'd be like, screw you guys. And he was very much the flipping the table, I'm done with this. And then as soon as he was basically annihilated, it was Mad Max, because nobody knew what to do then. It was the common focus of destroying that guy had been ruled out. I don't know.
That's what happened when we played that game night as well. Evan and I just kind of decided to go at each other's throats, and then everybody else was like, "Yeah, let's get Evan because he's been messing with us." So we just destroyed him, and then I was incredibly weakened as a result of the battle, and then everybody else was just kind of like, "Huh? Oh yeah, I guess the two of us should finish it off." Brian, I think it was you and Bennett. I think in the end.
Maybe. I don't remember.
You were the two.
It was getting so late at that point. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get home at midnight.
I'm a very opportunistic risk player. Usually, if there's a big battle going on, I just kind of sit on the fence.
Wait until they finish shooting each other.
Yeah, and then pick off the wounded. It's not the most honorable gameplay, but probably
you win battles. So.
Yes, probably the most surviving. Yeah. I don't think you've given us a favorite yet.
Yeah.
Well, I've been trying to delay because I'm trying to beat the game.
Stalin is over now.
Well,
it's time.
All right. I have to say Pandemic, I think, because that is
that
is the first board game that actually started the wheels turning in my head, thinking, you know what, maybe board games are something more than I give them credit for. I think that's a really, because for the longest time I did have a problem with that competitive nature of these board games. Is either because you sit on the sidelines and wait, like you play Risk, and you're just kind of bored, or you just go crazy and you go out in a blaze of glory very quickly.
Yeah.
But what Pandemic does is everybody's in it together. And I think that's the moment I realized that, hey, yes, I like this.
That also has a lot of off-the-table gameplay because it's all about everyone trying to save everyone else. There's no, per se, winner. It's just, for people who haven't played it, basically you're a group of survivors that are trying to cure the world of a plague, but you have to work together with special skills. You've got, like, the scientist who can research a cure faster, or you've got, like, the forward base operator who can move people around more and things like that. But if you don't use all of your skills correctly, you can very easily lose. And even when you're playing well, an outbreak can pop up somewhere else, and then boom, the entire world's gone. So it requires a lot of... It's not hard to play, but to win takes a lot of strategy with all the players working together in harmony.
Yeah, I think we won once, but that was because we didn't read one rule. Seriously,
yeah.
It's a very you feel hopeless when you first start the game because once you see the diseases multiplying, it's just a good experience because it's you and the people around you against the game rather than the game pitting everybody around the table against each other.
Sure. Yeah. Did we get a chance to play Betrayal at the House on Haunted Hill?
I haven't played it.
I have not. Yeah.
Oh, we've only played one of those, and it's a shame because it does take a while to set it up. But it's absolutely crazy. I mean, how about Zombies? Did we play that?
Yes.
Zombies,
but it's so good.
Zombies
it has the
interesting.
2 different states too.
It's got the one where each person gets to put a room down basically. So the Betrayal on House on the Haunted Hill, or whatever the hell that name is, it's like 6 characters, is like that in that each person puts down a random room tile as they explore this haunted house. And you're kind of against each other, but you don't fight each other. In fact, you're just navigating the house, dodging traps and kind of encountering things that change you. And it's more of an exploration. And then at a sudden trigger point, either somebody, does a certain number of, accidents or encounters a certain number of ghosts. It causes a trigger point that causes the story to set in. And then you reference based on which character did it, what room they were in, like what starting position was. That's used as an index or a codex to a big book of possible games that basically play out. And the wildest thing was how varied they were. So, for instance, in our game, we had a betrayer, and it wasn't a mystery like Clue. It was known that who the betrayer was, but they had their own instructions that we weren't allowed to read. And so they had to go read their instructions, and we read ours. And the story that we played out was the Rat King. And the idea was that after exploring this house and spooky things happening, this one character had revealed itself to be the king of rats, some sort of necromancer, and was moving down to this pentagram room in the basement to perform its dark ritual. And then the house started bursting with rats through all the walls, and we had to fight them. So it was all the rest of the players trying to fight off rats and intercept him before he got able to go to the room. But that was one... so we're looking and they were like, that's cool, but if they were all like that, that'd be boring. Yeah. So then we look at some of the tokens that we didn't use, and there's things like vampires and Frankenstein monsters and spiders and zombies and every horror movie trope you could think of, and dozens and dozens and dozens of possible things. Some of them you don't know who the betrayer is. You just continue navigating the house, and at some point everybody has instructions, and somebody says you just start killing people or something like that. But it's just wild, and there's so much of it was just it's not that it was a really macabre game, but it's how the level of dark humor and the people playing it. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of like what we were saying in the beginning, that it's a pain in the ass. There's a bunch of setup. There's rules, and they're usually foreign. But man, once you get into it, can't go back.
Yeah, the cool there's so many board games out there that I feel like I haven't tried, and I know that they're out there. So, yeah.
I mean, it's board games, tabletop. It's definitely a new thing for me too. But going to Gen Con opened some open my eyes up to some stuff. Probably should go next year. I played a friggin' 4-hour long. It was like a I guess how D&D or something, like with dice, but it was a space Coliseum race. So the idea was that every turn you rolled to move your chariot forward or ram the person next to you. And this was this vintage
Hover chariot?
That's it. It was. It was. And the craziest part is, it was a vintage game from I don't want to say the 70s, sci-fi themed, and it was called, like, instead of Circus Maximus, it was like Circus Galactica or something like that. I swear to God, you looked at this old campy like character sheets and the art and the tokens. George Lucas ripped off pod racing straight from this game. I swear to God, it was exactly the same.
Whoa! Are you implying George Lucas doesn't come up with original ideas?
Well, all right, but fair enough. But I'm just saying, like, if you took the engines from the pods and replaced them with some sort of fictional creature, bam! I was looking at the exact artwork.
Wow.
But it was fun, and it was such a weird thing, because if you told me you were going to have a plotting, character number sheet, doing math, rolling D20 dice for racing, I'd be like, yeah, bullshit. But it turned out being very interesting, because not only did it mean you could do an incredible amount of combat and viciousness towards the other people you were racing with, kind of a very Gladiator, Ben-Hur thing, but almost the breakup and the separation of it made certain things a lot harder to think about. They did when you came into a curve, the number of, or how sharp the curve was, determined how many cards you had to pull from like a deck of kind of chance cards. Oh, wow. So you could race past the other people near you, but as soon as you hit the curve, and if you're going, 8 speed, it'd be like, yeah, good luck. Draw 8 in a row that aren't a crash card, and you'll be fine. If any of the 8 cards you have to draw, then you crash and die. So it was
ruthless. Wow.
Yeah. It was it was a fun game. I think we started with like 8 people, and over the course of like 2-3 hours, we pared it down. But yeah.
I think the lesson here is that we like board games.
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about Carcassonne.
Well, no, but I think it's in the spirit of board games that we talk about other ones.
Yeah.
Because most people play Carcassonne. That's one of those first. Isn't it like one of those gateway games?
Well, I have to admit, I have not played Carcassonne.
It's a tile laying game.
Yeah.
So
Settlers?
I guess
I've only watched it be played, but
yeah.
I mean it's by the same people.
Yeah. So there's elements that are like Settlers.
Someone will post on YouTube.
Yeah, or you can look at it. Yeah, well, probably.
Yeah.
That's already out there, let me tell you.
You mean it's not a rich source of literary criticism from YouTube comments?
I thought YouTube comments were sort of like the source of information on the internet.
Yeah.
That's where all knowledge comes from.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I read that on a YouTube.
We're carving them into stone to leave for future generations.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like our
that scares me to death.
Come on, the internet is like our pyramid walls. Someone's going to find an old data center someday in the future, and they're going to decode the information and be like, wow, it's all cat videos.
It's all cat. The entire internet will be stored on like a cat thumb drive. Just open it up and pictures of cats, all of it. That's the way things are going. All right, I think it's time to end this.
Aww.
John Tyson, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having
Good
us.
to get some new voices in on this. Hopefully we'll have you back, but I don't know. Those comments earlier, it's iffy.
Okay.
It's true.
If you want to know more about our games that came out, the best place to check it out is toystudio.com. You can talk to me at Toy Studio Games on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/ / it's actually /
Side slash.
I always say backslash.
Hyphen.
No.
Semicolon.
Facebook.com / compromise. Toy Studio Games. And you can always send me emails, community at Toy Studio Games, if you have any questions for us that we would like to read on the podcast. Your question could be on this podcast. Anyway, thanks for listening.
See you later.
And Ryan's personal phone number is